What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the PT Post Mortem. I'm Swaggy. Sorry I'm not yelling so loud as I usually do. My ribs hurt today, but I am with the other host of this wonderful podcast, the wonderful Doc. How we doing, Doc?
I'm doing good. Slightly tired. Did wake up about half hour ago, but that's what you end up doing. So, this is PrimeTime Post-Mortem, but I think for the starting point, we're not going to necessarily talk about PrimeTime, but we are going to talk about the general community here, and that is going to be Swaggy getting absolutely yeeted by Romero. I think it's the only way to say it. Like, if you haven't seen it, go see it. I believe you're going to put a reaction channel on your YouTube, which we'll link down in the description, where it's basically Swaggy has got repeatedly yeeted by Romero because this man decided to challenge Romero. If you don't know Romero, he's a very experienced wrestler, I think it's the easiest way to say, who has done jiu-jitsu. Swaggy has 9 years of wrestling, but that showed case to be very little.
Yeah, my youth, middle school, and high school wrestling was no match for Romero's
no match
collegiate
is an
accolades,
understatement, I feel like, in this case.
And his jiu-jitsu blue belt, which I believe he gets it soon. He'll be a blue belt soon. I did go to jiu-jitsu after the fact with Romero. I'll get into all of that though. I'm just gonna start from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's
I traveled on bus to get upstate New York, so my traveling day was very long.
It's a very weird concept to be taking a bus on a long distance journey. How long is that journey?
It was about an 8-hour trip for me to get there, and about like 11 hours to get back.
That's from like the bottom of England to the top of Scotland.
Yeah, I went from Rhode Island to upstate New York by bus. Because I don't like to drive long distances. It would have only been like 4 hours if I drove, but I don't like to drive long distances. So I usually, anytime I travel, I am a flight guy or a bus guy or a train guy. I like to take public transportation, so I took the bus up there. Wasn't that bad. Pretty comfortable bus ride. I'm used to bus rides. Do it all the time. Got up there. My B&B was cool. I stayed with a lady named Cindy. Awesome.
Most American name I've ever heard.
She came and picked me up at the bus stop because it was snowing, and then I went for a blunt walk. Wonderful, and I slept like a baby. Woke up Monday morning and went and got breakfast. Met a guy at the breakfast spot that asked me for a lighter because he was rolling a blunt in the corner of the breakfast spot. I gave him a lighter so he could, finish the rolling process. Then he asked me if I smoked, so I smoked with this random guy. I don't remember his name. He asked me why the fuck did I come up here to random ass upstate New York, and I said, well, I'm up here for a wrestling match. He said, oh, GG's. Moved on, went and met Romero at the college, and we had the match. I haven't watched the match yet. I don't remember much of the match. I remember getting thrown around like a fucking
everything I basically saw was you just getting picked up and yeeted, and then you just heard a very loud smack. And that was repeated about every minute or so, with then Romero just digging his head into your ribs.
I've seen the clip of the last slam a lot where my head like smacks the mat, and Romero did actually. He got a lot of hate for the slamming, but he did try to cut my fall on that. That's my fault. I have a lot of wrestling experience, but that slam right there, I believe it wasn't a folk style slam. It's something more from freestyle. I only have folk style experience through youth, middle school, and high school wrestling. I graduated high school in 2015. It's 2024. I have not competitively wrestled in about 9 to 10 years. So with that being said, I just kind of threw myself into this with running on the treadmill every day just to have the stam, which I didn't gas out. Surprisingly enough, this pothead didn't gas out. It was the slams that made me unable to breathe anymore.
Was heavy by the end of it, though.
After that, I was good. I was good going into it. I remember the first lockup. Because we kind of fucked up. I went to knuckle touch. He went to shake. I switched to shake. He switched to knuckle, and then we shook hands, and he just immediately locked up. And that the strength was too much to deal with. I know we're the same weight, but once again, he trains every day. I stream and smoke every day.
The muscle density is a bit different, just a bit.
That muscle was different, and you could see he pulled me right down to his legs, bro. Like bang, like put me right down. And yeah, but I felt good up to that. And then that first slam, I was like, all right, I gotta stay down. So I tried to stay on the ground a little bit. I tried to scramble. I tried to grab a couple things. I was trying to work. Like I was trying to work for switches, and I was trying to get back to my feet to try to get like a hold of his body to like try to do a slam of my old or something. But the muscle is just too much. I have been working on the muscle too, but like I haven't that wasn't a main focus for this. The main focus was my stam, which I do believe I did a good job on that. However, yeah, the muscle was too much. I was getting thrown around. By the second slam, the wind was knocked out of me completely. And there's a spot where I'm just on my back and he's standing, expecting me to also stand. So I start moving my legs and arms. I stay in God. And then he immediately jumps on me. And I said to him, I don't know if you could hear. I hearing there's no audio on the YouTube end, but there was audio on the Twitch end, so I'm not sure. However, I don't know if you could hear it, but I did say to him, I was like, damn, Aljo made it look like you weren't gonna be able to do that, and he laughed. Like I was talking to him throughout the match. Like I was talking shit. Every time he slammed me, I was like, nice one, or like, oh, GG's, like I was talking shit, but I was getting fucked up.
You were talking shit. It wouldn't be you, Swaggy, if you weren't. I mean, you managed to get yourself into this position, which is insane enough as it bloody is, to be quite frank.
Yeah, and then on that last slam, I didn't brace my fall the correct way, and that's why I landed on my head. However, when I wrestled back then, about 10 years ago, CTE wasn't really a concern for people yet. So like we learned to brace our falls with our head, never post your arm, because that's how you snap your shoulder and shit. So we did brace falls with our head back then, back in the day. So
that's why you're now Swaggy, yeah?
I initially did that correctly, bruv. Like I initially did, like if that was 2015 high school wrestling, I posted with my head. That was beautiful. I just landed on my neck a little bit. And Kurt Angle won the Olympic medal with a broken freaking neck. Like,
you've had some fun then. You've had some fun. You've been yeeted about the place. Your ribs are heartbroken. You had a jiu-jitsu match afterwards. You met Romero. You enjoyed your life. And then
he sinks in the Goga Plata.
It's the easiest way.
He sinks in the Goga Plata. I tap right away because that shit was deep as fuck. Never had a Goga Plata put into me. Always thought a Goga Plata was stupid. Don't think Goga Platas are stupid anymore. That shit did hurt. That shit did hurt. I still don't even know what body part the Goga Plata is. I still don't even know. And I think it was my arm. I'm pretty sure. Like going this way, that shit hurted though.
It's a Goga Plata and it's an Omo. But
it was a mounted. It was a mounted Goga Plata.
But the omoplata is with your shoulder. The go-go is using your legs as a choke, I'm pretty sure. I'm using you.
Yes.
I'm using you.
Yes, it was. He was using his legs. Yep. Okay,
because,
yes, I remember now.
The go-go is a choke, but the omo is a shoulder lock.
Okay, yep. We gotta. I do have to watch it again.
That's me using UFC from the game knowledge, and
once again, this side of my body does hurt.
Completely wrong.
This side of my body does hurt from the slams. However, I'm fine. It's just soreness. Nothing I didn't go through in my wrestling experience. I see a lot of people questioning my wrestling experience. I did have 9 years of wrestling. I did no, very understandably, because I look like I never wrestled a day of my life out there. However, I haven't wrestled in 10 years. I have the wrestling experience. I used the photo that was used to promote this was a photo from like 2012. So like y'all should have known that I haven't wrestled in a long time. And I was very public about y'all haven't wrestled a competitive match in like 10 years. And I haven't like trained in like 5. So take that how you will. However, I have no regrets, man. I went up there. I did what I had to do. I showed a lot of heart. I didn't go out like a bitch either. Like after that first slam, I could have laid there and been like, choke me out. But I kept going. I kept going until he decided, okay, this kid's had enough. And I would have, honestly, if he didn't go for the go-go right there, I would have taken a couple more slams. I'm not sure if I'll ever do a content creating wrestling match again. I do support anybody wanting to do them and do want to be involved.
Swaggy's
However,
learned his lesson. He doesn't want to have a broken rib from being slammed.
next time I wrestle, I want it to be in a steel cage match, and I want that shit to be scripted because if it's gonna hurt, I want to win. And
I mean, that's fair fucking enough. That is fair enough.
However, after the match, me and Romero shook hands, had a very respectful conversation / interview, which will be out on my YouTube channel later this week. I just have to go edit it, fix the audio, because we had a couple of technical difficulties because I am not used to recording IRL on the go. And then we went and got food. He put me onto this kind of bodega spot. And I got a chopped cheese. And if you've ever been to New York, chopped cheese are fire. And I was upstate, so I wasn't expecting a fire chopped cheese. I've had crazy chopped cheese before, but I got a steak and chopped chease, and I wasn't expecting anything gas because I was like, we're upstate.
Neither do I, ladies and gentlemen.
I was like, we're upstate.
Gibberish at
and
this
point. So I got a steak and chopped cheese, and that shit was so good. I can't even tell you what's in a chopped cheese, but that shit was chopped cheeses are fire. If you're ever in New York City, get a chopped cheese.
What's a chopped cheese?
It's a sandwich.
It's a sandwich with cheese in it, I assume?
Oh, chopped cheese, yeah.
Is it a fake American cheese or actual
Nah,
cheese?
it's real cheese. It's mad cheese. Mad different cheeses, all chopped. Thrown in there with steak and meats and tomato, lettuce, mayo. The works. It was good.
I'm gonna just slowly nod.
It was mad.
Yeah.
Just know it was good. Moving forward, he then offered me a jiu-jitsu class, free of charge, and brought me to his jiu-jitsu gym where I met his head instructor. I met this brown belt who goes by the name of Mad Cow, also known in this community. He's fucking cool. And I met a bunch of people, learned how to sink some stuff in, learned how to sink in a rolling rear naked choke, and inspired me to kind of come home and try to get my white belt here now. Looking for a gym in my price range and schedule, and possibly Swaggy white belt will be coming soon. And then I traveled yesterday, made it to New York City, had a burger, smoked a joint outside of Madison Square Garden, made it home late last night, and now we here.
Congratulations, I think.
It was a fun trip, man. I had a fun time.
It does genuinely sound it. I mean, as I repeatedly said, you did get yeeted, but nonetheless, you still managed to come back with a lot more dignity than I think you started with as well. So,
yeet.
Congratulations there on the Romero fight.
Yeah. Congratulations. I lost, but I did come out of this a winner. It was a win-win situation from the start.
Mm-hmm.
You know what wasn't a win-win situation though?
Oh no.
PrimeTime 119, the first fight of the night.
Oh.
Nasty didn't just win, bro. Nasty didn't just win. Nasty killed Elite King. Nasty killed him.
It was the head kicks. It was just the head kicks he threw. It was timed absolutely perfectly that really sealed the deal there for Nasty. It really definitely was. It was a wild fight. It was ridiculous, I think, in some manners. And the way he just continued to land those head kicks was genuinely quite impressive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then moving on to the next fight, which we won't spend too much time on it because I told y'all so. Mozzie wrestle fucked Jinja so bad, dude. Like dog walked to Jinja on the ground. And it was Jinja's own fault in the first round too, because Jinja could have kept it on the feet.
Because Jinja was weird game plan. I don't get
Jinja was defending takedowns and then decides, I'm gonna take him down.
Yeah, Ginger's normally really good with the fight IQ, but it definitely seemed like he chucked it out the window. Because the fight IQ, when you want to be fighting a wrestler, typically, is you work the stamina, you work that body, you get a bit of that long-term stam completely out of the way, and then you back off. You point score, you look for a couple of individual shots to make sure you won the round, but you're not looking to really it's a case of you don't want to be overcommitting and you don't want to be having your back against the cage. You want to be kind of hovering around the middle towards a black line and just kind of making their life difficult to enter the pocket a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Ginger didn't do that. Ginger did not do a good job at doing that. The Proxer versus Kaihan was the next fight. And Proxer is a dog. I was unfamiliar with Proxer's work before this. Proxer made very easy work of Kaihan, who's a scary guy in this division. I know I fought Kaihan a lot in spars down the road. Kaihan is a good fighter. So for Proxer to make it look that easy means Proxer is just a different level of a dog.
But for sure. I mean, these again though, it's from the NM camp. I don't quite know what you expect. Like every guy from the NM side seems to be an absolute killer.
I think he was the one that I said you got to give him something more than a dog and call him like a dinosaur, like
Jesus.
Because he made real easy work of a real tough opponent in Kaihan. Somebody who also made surprising light work of their opponent was Swag. And he used Jorge and he subbed George. Which is crazy because Jadon called it the second he saw George's gamer tag, way too many numbers. And this is gonna be an easy fight for Swag, and it was an easy fight for Swag. Subbed him with Jorge.
Indeed. I mean, you'd have skipped over a few fights from the Kaihan to the Swag fight, which was headed the prelims.
Did I skip some?
Yeah, so we had EK Warrior versus Apollo.
Warrior won.
Yeah, Warrior
yes,
won
yep.
that.
I remember that. Okay, I don't know why that's not in my notes.
Then you had Intro versus Attican, which Attican won.
Yes, that fight was fucking nuts. That fight was nuts because Intro was getting his ass beat at some points, but then Attican would just give him something. Attican would just fucking give him something.
I remember Cyros on comms saying that Intro didn't look exactly like Intro. He was kind of a bit flat-footed, which is Intro, which is interesting for Intro because normally every time he comes out, even as someone who can be inconsistent at times, he's still fairly consistent in his fighting technique.
Yeah, Intro didn't look like himself out there, and he definitely paid for it against Attican, who's a very tough fighter, and I believe he's 3-0 now.
Yeah, he's definitely 3-0. Then you have SVG JX Goated versus AKA Amazon. Amazon's definitely a bit sad after this. He's definitely a bit sad.
He was winning. And he sold? Am I remembering this correctly?
Possibly. I'm struggling to remember myself, but I do know that Amazon did lose it, so he went on.
The booth was crazy. I remember us screaming for almost every fight. So like my notes are kind of all over the place.
It was a bunch of headhunting and no body work.
Yes, there was no body work in that. Yes, and they were both gassing. But nobody was touching the body.
Yeah, it was one of those weird instances where you're like, okay, if you're going to headhunt and you're both gassing out, maybe one of you should just kill each other's body, but sometimes that's the way it goes. Again, that's Amazon style, I suppose, is it's very much, it's not one-dimensional, it's just one target. And he's got one idea going into the fight, and if it doesn't work, there's a very high chance that he's going to end up being screwed up. That's just
I can see
the way
that.
It works.
Yeah.
So from all the prelims, we go into the main card of PT 119, and starting it off, you have Scarface versus Trixie, and I want to say Trixie looked like a new man. Like Trixie we saw him last week on the prelims and he got clipped a couple of times. This week though, he comes out and he just absolutely dominates. I think it's the only way to say it. And Scarface is a good fighter. Like he gives tough competition to a lot of people in the top 15.
Trixie had a tough first. Trixie had a tough first round leading up to that first takedown. But the second he got that first takedown, it was all Trixie. Like, Trixie got that takedown, and even if they got back on the feet after that, like, he was good. That first takedown kind of got Trixie in the mindset to win the fight, and he finished him in round 2 with a gorgeous knockout.
Indeed, indeed. Then you go to the really interesting fight, which I'm genuinely interested to see where one of these guys goes to from now. Especially given I think he's booked in a high-ranking fight this week of Ripe versus Goat. Goat won it, going to 4-0, and that was in the featherweight division. Swag.
I was upset with Ripe last week because Ripe's got to win these fights, and no disrespect to Ripe, I love Ripe as a competitor. I just want to see Ripe winning, and Ripe.
I want to see Ripe in a title shot. I really, really do.
Ripe got worked, bruv. Like Goat made light work of Ripe. He had the fastest round whip sub I've seen in competition so far. It might have been the fastest sub in competition so far. Like, it was quick. Goat made it look easy, and he came out there. He subbed him real fast.
Sorry, you just reminded me. I'm pretty sure you mentioned the Swag fight. He got a Von Flu as his finishing choke, and I'm pretty sure that may have been the first in primetime history.
Did he get a Von Flu?
Yeah,
I'm surprised none of us called that. None of us called that out.
A Von Flu.
Damn, we had the opportunity to do something so funny right there. Because that time Roger thought a choke was the Von Flu. We had the opportunity to do something hysterical, but none of us noticed
it was the Von Flu. I remember it because it looked like an arm triangle, but he's
and he did it with Jorge. Jorge has a Von Flu.
Apparently so.
That's wild.
It was a Von Flu, though, I'm certain.
EA, what are we doing? We get Jorge Masvidal has a Von Flu choke?
Don't worry, Raxmanov doesn't have an arm triangle, but he has a Von Flu. Yeah,
man. Go made light work of Ripe. Damn. I didn't know that was a Von Flu, but listen, back to Goat sub. It was just so quick, and Ripe's a really good competitor. I was surprised he did it that fast.
And
I had 10K channel points on Ripe as well.
Jesus. No, Ripe genuinely looked. Both of them looked really good. Goat came out the bigger victor, and that's sometimes the way it goes when you end up in these types of matches. Moving on from that, though, we have a fight that arguably you're going to want to kill me for still. John Africa versus CV.
Oh, I have no notes on that fight.
Well, judging by the fact I called John Africa CV-esque last week and then CV had killed him this week.
Yeah,
I think that's really kind of nailed my point into a coffin.
So I've been preying on CV's downfall the last couple of weeks.
Why? It's CV. This man's a former champ. He's the first one to offer Smudger a real big issue up until this week, in all honesty, which we'll get onto in a second.
I've been preying on CV's downfall as of recent, and I think that's over for me. I'm not preying on CV's downfall anymore. I'm just not going to interview him because he likes to answer me after the podcast is already out. So I'm just going to ignore him being a talented fighter. He doesn't exist in my eyes. However, he starts John Africa. And last week I said John had a chance. Out of everybody in this division, John had the best chance to beat CV. I lied to y'all right to the face. And I didn't even know I was lying.
I think Goat versus CV is the next big interesting fight. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, but CV's gonna starch Goat. CV's gonna starch everybody on his way to the title. Because CV's that guy. CV's back, and something we finally saw CV able to use. I don't even have to do the quotations anymore, Doc.
Defensive.
Defensive buffs, baby, they are here, and CV was working them. I do feel like they'll just keep getting better as we get more patches. So CV's just gonna get better as the game gets patched.
Yeah, no, for sure. Once the game's as big as it is right now, it's just the fucking tracking. Honestly, ground and pound tracking especially needs to be fucking sorted. I
I still think Stam's a little fucked too.
Oh god, short-term Stam needs some corrections as well.
And and that shit is all getting worked on. As I said earlier, I did have a conversation with Romero. I asked him all of these questions. And the state of the game will get better in the next couple of months. However, going back to CV will also get better going into the next couple of months because of the patches. Yeah, CV fucking he milked John Africa.
Poor
J Dime, before we had went live, I was saying how I was preying on CV's downfall, and he was like, CV's going to starch John. And I was like, I don't know if he'll starch him. And he was like, no, he's gonna starch him, and he killed him. And I knew he was gonna kill him during the fight because the first round was really close. And if you have a really close first round with CV, you're fucked. Because CV never starts off good in the first round. He always has a bad first round. They quoted me because I said, might as well just take the first round out of the fight when CV's fighting because it don't fucking matter. It does not fucking matter because you are going to get KO'd in the second round. If you make it out of that round, you're dead in the third.
Again, as you mentioned with CV being a defensive fighter, it's Peter Yan-esque. You would argue that he's making the reads, he's making the adjustments, and then he starts picking up the pace coming to the second. Unlike Peter Yan, CV can actually put the power down when he needs to, bite on his mouthpiece, and come out a stronger fighter to win it. So that's the difference. So that's how I think CV is. You're going to see him progress. Is okay. Yeah, he's going to maybe lose round one, but outside of that, it's going to be a clean sailing if he can keep the momentum. If he can restart the momentum into the second and just keep going forward.
Yes. Exactly. And moving forward, I think the next fight was Dave versus Naznim.
That will be the one. Dave at 4-1 on the plus 3, Naznim 3-0.
I don't know what fight got fight of the night, but I know this fight was up for fight of the night.
It was until the co-main happened.
Okay, we will talk about that later then. Dave versus Naznim was a fucking war. It was so back and forth. You didn't know who was going to win until Naznim put Dave out. It was literally just such a back and forth fight. I was on the edge of my seat the entire fight. It was an absolute all-out war. You had Dave's block breaking, just doing all of the work for him. But then you had Naznim coming in with big strikes too. It was a really good fight.
Yeah, no,
very
back
back and
forth.
forth.
We're going back and forth in all up avenues. You had Vuck versus Blackout. That went about as what you could expect, I think is the nicest way to put it. Takedown being shot, Vuck on top, Vuck drew punches in top man, Blackout went unconscious. The guy banned Nick Diaz. I blame the Nick Diaz pick personally. We love Blackout. It's illegal to take down B3 guys if you want a good fight, but Vuck doesn't care. It's Vuck. He's going to cause chaos. He did what the game plan intended, and he won. Kind of that way it went.
Yeah. Vuck, Vuck banned Nick Diaz. Blackout needs that first fucking minute of the round to really explode on you and do his damage. He didn't even get that. Vuck shot right away. That was always the game plan. Vuck killed Blackout.
It's what you expect to happen in that fight. Yes, it's a bit sad, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. Sometimes the way you expect a fight to go is the way it's going to happen. And, I mean, mix-ups versus Drizz is a very different story to that, I think is the answer. Drizz was down 2 rounds, and Drizz comes out of nowhere and just gets the win back.
He had a massive comeback win against Mix-Ups. Mix-Ups was up 2 rounds. He won the first. Won the second by a very big margin, and we even looked at the scorecards after, and he was up a lot. Like I'm pretty sure he 10-8'd him one of the rounds. Drizz came back and he made the adjustments and he was able to get it done in the 3rd round.
Yeah, no, he looked good. I mean, I couldn't say he looked good. He made the comeback. He did the adjustments, which is what you want to be seeing out of a lot of these competitors. It's not necessarily if you're losing the round, fine, but like it actually gives you better credibility there because if you're losing the rounds and you made the adjustments, you made the reads, and then you've made that comeback, I would argue that gives you greater credibility in a lot of circumstances, especially as you get higher and higher up, because at the higher levels, it's not going to be a one-way domination. It's going to be this back and forth momentum of just making adjustments after adjustments after adjustments, which is how the co-main went, genuinely. So, if you haven't seen the co-main, it will be up. It should have been posted yesterday when I post this. Yeah, should be. Anyway, go check out our YouTube. It's the fight of the night for a reason. This went 5 rounds.
Doc. Let me, all right? Let me talk about my boy Frosty. Let me talk about how Frosty is ice cold. All right, I told you. I told everybody. Everybody thought this was gonna be an easy walk in the park for Fatty the Batty, but he had to work for this one. Frosty stunned Thad 4 times. 4 times in the first. Yeah. We come down, and then Fad starts to bring him down. Fad starts to work him, and then they get back to the feet. More stunning. Frosty's winning this fight. Frosty wins the first round. Frosty's winning this fight. But Fadinator ended up making the adjustments because he is Fadinator, and he ended up winning. I actually talked to Fad about this. Hold on, let me scroll. He was telling me I got slammed too many times the other day, so let me scroll through all of that. All right, so he did message me right after the fight, as Fad always does, because he was mad that last week I was rooting for Frosty. Yep. And then he messaged me immediately and said, not as clean as I wanted, but championship heart. And that's what we were saying in the booth. We were saying that, like, he never gave up. He didn't give up once. He could have gave up 100 times. He didn't give up once. He kept that heart up. He stayed in there. I told him Frosty's ice cold, but you did what you had to do.
Frosty looks like the best competitor. Like, he's genuinely looked like the best challenge to Fad so far. And it was a very, very impressive fight.
He said not all of them can be dominant, onwards and upwards. And that's our champion. I'm very excited to see him fight again. Fadinator got a lot of heart, man. Fadinator does not give up in that cage. He will continue to fight until the bell's over, or he's out cold. And that's what we saw the other day, man. It was a crazy fight. GG's to Frosty too, though, because Frosty brought it. I thought it was over a couple times. I was ready to celebrate for Frosty.
Oh, God, yeah, Jesus.
I thought we were gonna have a new champ, but Frosty will be back, man. That was a fucking phenomenal performance there, and Frosty will definitely be back. But I wonder what's next for Fadinator.
Well, we can discuss it in a second, but our last fight from PT 119 was Smudger versus MG.
I forgot this happened.
How did you forget?
I forgot this happened.
You got dropped too many times on your head.
A lot, dude.
Yeah,
a lot.
Did.
Like,
yeah, it definitely seems that way. You forgot this happened.
I was ready to come into this fight and be like Smudger and still, but that's not the case. That is not the case.
Okay, I'll be honest. Given everything that we've seen from MG, given even across the board, given all of his opponents, and given everything that although he's 6-2, a lot of people would have wrote MG off. MG has a fairly 50-50 record from the UFC 4. Like, that was kind of the way he touched the top 15. He hung about it, but he was never anywhere close to that top 5, I would say. But then he's come out a different breed in the UFC fight. He's genuinely come out and been one of the best competitors we've seen. And somehow he's won in impressive fashion by doing what I can only describe as Juliana Pena style of just jabbing someone in the face over and over again.
It was a decision win, if I'm not wrong.
It was
correctly?
A decision win,
yes,
but it was a clear cut.
It was a
decision.
dominant. It was a dominant decision win, and MG, I believe I said in the booth, MG went out there and really showcased to be the champ. You got to beat the champ. And that's what he did for all 5 rounds. I think Smudger had 1 or 2 in there, but MG was up for majority of the fight. And Smudger was just never able to make the reads.
It was just a jab. Genuinely, it was the jab of MG. Just really... Smudger could...
It was at flyweight, right?
Yeah, it was at flyweight.
And yeah, Smudger was Brandon Moreno.
I mean, so Smudger has said in conversation to me that, and from what I've seen elsewhere, it was very much the case of flyweight's one of the least competitive weights, which is your own opinion to decide, not ours, really. So, I mean, maybe Smudger has a point there, maybe he doesn't. That's not something that we want to discuss, and I think, but that's what Smudger believes, and I mean, you can definitely believe that. So, it's going to be interesting to see how he comes back.
There's good picks in flyweight. Like, he was Moreno, and I thought Moreno
is probably the best pick. I mean, if you
I think Moreno's the best in flyweight.
So if you're looking at that weight class, for given what was going on in that fight, especially, I think Smudger would have benefited more from Royval with his length, so he can outlength Pantoja. Pantoja has the really weird issue of he's a midget, but he also has the looping cross, which makes him a bloody nightmare a lot of the time because of the hits done on it. Because it's kind of like just getting hit by the jab straight from Nate Diaz a lot of the time. And so the way MG played it was fairly sophisticated from that aspect. It's a good use of fight IQ there, knowing your fighter picks and knowing what's going to be working and what's not. And so I think that's definitely benefited him as well there. However, Smudger tried to make adjustments. He was looking for the takedowns. He was looking decent, but by the time it come to that 3rd round, it was kind of dead set in the water for the most part. Smudger looked forward. I mean, if MG let down his guard in a moment, you would probably run into an issue, but it just really wasn't the night for Smudger. I think it's the simplest way to say.
Yeah, man, it was not Smudger's night at all, but Smudger will be back. Congratulations to MG. MG's not defending this week?
No, MG's not defending this week, no.
Okay, I'm excited to see when MG does defend again.
It will be next week if it's available.
But congrats to MG and those AKA boys, because they worked hard to have, I believe this is their first major league champion. So
under the AKA? Yeah,
I believe so.
I think so.
I believe this is their first major champion. Yeah.
I mean, so from 119, I think we can then start talking about 120 because this is because this is kind of where it gets really interesting for a lot of the higher division. I'm gonna quickly skip over the prelims just to more discuss the possible implications of where both of the PlayStation and Xbox divisions can go, because the prelims are more about who's going to end up in that top 5 next week, whilst the main card is who's going to end up fighting for the champion, who's going to be ended up in that title picture instantly. Especially when you've got a lot of guys who are 4-0 and 3-0 here. So, firstly, our main event is going to be Fad versus Driz.
You want the reactions from me out of that? I mean, low key, like Driz has been doing work, but Driz had a big comeback win last week against Mix-Ups, and the last time Fadinator fought Mix-Ups, he dogged him. And they're both on the same team. They're both from the same camp. I just realized. And I'm assuming like Fadinator is like the dog of that camp and kind of just like fathers everybody. So
but Driz is. I think in the general community, Driz is fairly close to Fad, and given the picks that have been picked, I'm very interested in seeing.
Can I guess?
Yeah, go
At
ahead.
welterweight, Fadinator took Leon.
No.
What? Did Fad take Usman?
No.
Connor?
No.
Who did? Tell me the picks.
Robbie Lawler.
Ooh, I like that.
And Driz picked Edwards.
Okay. No. You have to understand. Prime Robbie Lawler's power is
97 with 99 recovery and a stupid chin. Yeah, it is cracked.
It's crack, and Fatinator's using him.
Yeah, it's a that fight. If that fight doesn't end within 2 rounds, it's going to end up being fight of the night.
Yes,
That's the easiest way to go. Following on from that, you have. So this fight was kind of difficult to make because this could have gone multiple ways, given how the division's going, given who's competing at the division, especially given that you got CV, Brazil Lucas, Naz, Goat. You got CV and Brazil Lucas on a +3. You got Naz and Goat on a +4. Smudger's ranked number 2. He's on a +3, and Smudger went on a 7-fight win streak, basically. So in this case, he's got a number 1 contender. I think it's
you mean Vux number 2 ranked on a +3.
Yeah, he's
yeah,
number 2 ranked.
And Smudger went 7-0 and then lost his last fight.
Yeah, he lost
and I
to the
do
champ.
think this is a number 1 versus number 2 fight. I think this is a perfect fight to make, and the winner of this will fight the champion. Correct?
Yeah, it's basically the case. It was a bit difficult to figure out how you want to play in this division, especially given that we don't always do rematches. Frosty hasn't got a rematch, but Frosty's not competing this week anyway. So
yeah, and I think this is kind of perfect for Smudger because Smudger has already beaten Vuck this season.
I believe so. I mean, Vuck and Vuck was really, really calling out for MG,
and
because Vuck has also beat MG earlier on in the season.
Yeah,
so
Vuck definitely has earned a spot in the title shot, but Smudger literally defended the belt so many times this season and is pound for pound. So you have to give Smudger the opportunity to go get his belt back.
Yeah, and this is arguably the fairest way. You've gone, okay, and if you win this fight, you've got the shot back. If you don't, then you've got to re-earn your shot.
Then Vuck gets it, because Vuck has also earned it, but Vuck should have to beat Smudger because of what Smudger did for this belt. And MG's off this week, so it's not like anybody's getting the shot anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's also going to be 5 rounds.
I like that.
Yeah,
of course.
There's going to be 5 rounds, just because it's one of the big fights.
Yeah, it's a title contender fight. Yeah. So
we don't always run co-mains as 5 rounds just because of how long our cards are, but this fight, given everything that's happened, given the lead up to it, definitely makes sense for it to be a 5-round war. So
10%. Moving forward, I'm very excited for this fucking fight. Holy shit, Nazanin versus Trixie.
Yeah, well, they're both BFAP, but I would argue the winner of this is going to end up in a number 1 contender or be fighting. It depends. It really depends how the division looks. That's a lot of these issues you come across right now. It's because everybody's on such built-up records somehow. It's kind of weird to see because it's been everybody's like cleared out killer after killer, and now you end up on a bunch of people who are 3, 4, and 0, and so here we are now looking to try to figure out, okay, what are the matchups going to do? How's this going to lead into the title picture? And I guess, Trixie versus Nazanin is one of the biggest ones here so far.
No, it's going to be a good fight. Nazanin 4-0, Trixie 3-0, and they're both from BFAP. I have been doubting Nazanin the last couple of weeks, but Nazanin has showed me nothing but dominance. And Trixie's got no doubt from me. Like, I know Trixie's a dog. I expect a really good fight out of this fight. I don't even know. I don't want to say it's an easy dub for Trixie, and I don't want to say it's going to be an easy win for Nazanin because they obviously spar each other. So they obviously know how each other fight, and they're both dogs.
So this could be a very close fight. Trixie, 110%. They're the same count.
I believe the betting favorite is Trixie because of history. So the betting favorite would obviously be Trixie just due to history. But not Nazanin slowly turning into a fan favorite around here.
I mean, yeah, that's very true. It's nice to see new up. Nazanin's not new, but he's recently made the push into being within that top 5 for certain. So that's where I'm more saying he's new from. Moving on though, you've got Naz versus Go. I'll be interested to know your betting favorite for that fight.
Naz is 4-0. Go is 4-1. Naz DM'd me earlier and said that he knows I threw the fight against Romero and let him win. So he does have my vote for this. Hey. The only one that could see through. Naz is cool. Goat's cool. I think this is actually a close fight though, because look, all right, it depends how Goat comes out striking, I guess, because Goat's not necessarily a striker per se.
I mean,
He
has
still
looked
hasn't
good to
sold me.
striking. He beat Samurai Robin in the striking match.
He still hasn't sold me on his striking because of what he did to Ripe last week. If you're gonna come out and just immediately go for a submission like that, you must not be too confident in your striking. However, Naz is good everywhere. We should see how this favors for Goat.
Yep.
I do think Naz is the betting favorite going into this.
For sure.
Naz is coming off of a suspension, correct?
Yes. About 3
Yeah, so
cards. So it's a lot of ring rust, to be honest.
Naz is gonna want to dominate though.
Yeah.
Naz is gonna want to come out and put on a show, and especially since there is no current NM champion, Naz is probably trying to prove that he belongs in that championship spot. So I'm excited for this fight for sure. It's gonna be fireworks.
Yeah, moving on from that, you got SVG.
Oh shit!
JX Goated. He's got a win off Amazon, and then you've got B3 Vanio making his return.
Yeah, Vanio's back.
Smudger his hardest fight up until MG.
Yeah, Vanio's back. That's cool. And it is at featherweight. Yeah, this fight's gonna be a fucking war, man. I'm excited for this fight. Because Goated fights so different than like everybody else.
SVG, yeah.
Yeah, he fights so different than everybody else in SVG, but he
fights
still has.
I think it's the easiest way to say it.
But he has the SVG tendencies. He just uses them smart. Where I would put him in the same category as the Swaggy style Goats, me and Rolling Thunder. He uses those weird tools very good. Very well. And the Swaggy style Goats. There's a Swag style Hall of Fame, and it's slowly building. JX Goated's on his way. If he gets a win against Vanio, shit. Swag style Hall of Fame. He's right there.
Well, from the absolute insanity of apparently being the Swag style, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing in my humble opinion, but we have EK Warrior versus Regicide Atakan. That's going to be a war. It's going to be a war. EK Warrior still up and coming, still trying to make a name for himself, even at 3-0. He last full. My mind's blanked. We've just covered it. Let me have a quick gander back. He last fought EK Apollo. That was in bantamweight on the prelims. So this is his first time hitting into this main card, ranked number 7. It's going to be a very interesting night for him. Atakan, a former PlayStation champion, definitely, if you look at accomplishments, he'll be the betting favourite, but something tells me I want to favour Warrior in this. I feel like it's going to be a striking match in which Warrior's going to be a Warrior and just really put the pace on.
Warrior put on a show last week. I'm expecting him to do the same this week, but don't sleep on Atakan, because Atakan's got good striking too. Atakan's a dog, and it's at bantamweight. So we'll see who gets banned. We'll see what the picks are. It should be a good all-around fight.
For sure. I mean, now we move. So
this next one's crazy.
Is insane
because you got CV. I don't think so.
I mean, Brazil Lucas looked like he won fight of the night.
Yeah, but you got to think that Brazil Lucas game plan going into this is showing CV why Brazil is in his name, and he's going to absolutely use that Brazilian jiu-jitsu to his absolute favor. It's at middleweight. I'm not sure what the picks are, but I'm sure he's gonna. Yep, he's going to pick a grappler, and he's going to try to out-grapple CV in every way, shape, and form. But CV is a defensive striker and counter-striker, if you would. And CV likes to stand. I haven't seen CV grapple much in 5. I think Vuck tried, but wasn't successful.
What in the world? So, you know how Lucas is a grappler? Take a guess who he's picked. According to this.
Who'd he pick?
Take a guess.
I don't know. Alex Pereira?
No, CV picked him.
Oh my God, Izzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, CV's gonna dog walk Brazil Lucas.
A phenomenal grappler. like genuinely phenomenal,
Bad pick.
has
Bad
picked
pick.
Izzy.
Bad pick. I think it was a really bad pick. He might not be familiar with CV's game.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm even more interested to see where this fight goes. But based on those picks, yeah,
If
yeah.
Lucas beats CV, he's the GOAT. And I don't think he'll lose ever. However, moving on to which might be the worst booked fight I have ever seen. Shout out. We have the matchmaker right here, Mr. Doctor. Can you tell us what the fuck you were thinking when you booked NBK K Got Bills versus NBK Mozzie?
I don't think it's the worst
boring
fight ever.
ass grapplers.
Mazzy was not boring last week. He was active.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I'm actively preying on Ginch's downfall. That's why I enjoyed it.
No, but
J-Dime was hating it. J-Dime hated it.
Mazzy was like being consistent. He was being aggressive. He was looking to put on that aggressive style, and he was looking for stuff. Even on the feet, he was consistent in the takedowns, spamming if you're really inclined. But he still was going consistent. He was being like, you knew what you were getting. That's the thing. Mazzy made no lie of, and that's one of the biggest things I think. As long as you make no lie about what you're wanting to do and going to do, I see no issue. And Mazzy is 100% that way. K Got Bills, on the other hand, this guy needs to be showcased that he is really not very active on the ground, and he needs to be, which led to his suspension. So for Mazzy, it's going to be the case of he's going to put the pace on, and K Got Bills got to react. I mean, in his case, he's probably wanting to slow down the pace, but I think it's going to be predominantly grappling, hopefully a lot of reversals, a lot of sub attempts, a lot of chucking each other just around the cage and seeing who can get the better sub off, I think. Because one of the easiest ways to get subs in this game is by letting every scramble happen, because if you're like constantly transitioning, if you're constantly turning and trying to get into different positions, you end up losing stam, and that does allow you to end up getting subs easily sunk in. And so I think both of them would benefit from that type of style. Hit on that card, on that fight, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this fight.
Believe me. Swaggy still doesn't believe me.
I'm not a fan of this fight.
I figured.
Moving on to a fight that I believe is going to kill the prelims very well. Ripe versus Not Nasty. This headlines the prelims. This is a fucking firefight right here. Mm-hmm. Ripe's on a -2. Ripe needs this. Ripe needs this so much.
For sure.
Ripe needs this, brother. Ripe, if you're watching, you got this, and you got this, brother. You need to keep winning. You are on the prelims now. Last week you were in the middle of the main card. The week before that you were one of the you were like before the co-main. You're digressing. You need to come out. You need to explode when you see that OG Ripe. However, on the other side, Nasty, if he comes out and does exactly what he did last week, I have no doubt in my mind that he makes light work of Ripe, moves forward into the main card.
No, for sure. I mean, it's definitely been interesting. But top of the prelims, it's going to be one to look out for. Dave taking a loss from Naznim, who's now at the top of the main card. He's at the second fight of the prelims, ranked number 10 on the prelims itself. It really tells you just how stacked this card is with the higher rated guys in on the main card. He's going to be fighting FSK Bossman, which is wild to say the least. Bossman making his return finally onto the main, onto the live card, and this man has consistently been within that top 10 positions, and Dave is at that ranked spot of number 10. So I imagine Bossman's going to come out here swinging and banging, hoping to finish Dave early on, I feel like.
Yeah, Bossman's going to want to finish Dave early on, but Dave's been having some wars. Dave's on a -1. Dave's I don't think Dave's on his downfall right now. I know Dave usually wins a lot then loses a lot. I don't think that's what we're gonna see right now. I do think Dave might turn around, and this could be a massive win for Dave. Not ranking wise, just name wise, a big win over FSK Boss Man goes a long way.
For sure, for sure. Moving on, though, we do have a slight change to the card posted in the Discord. It's going to be AKA Minhof, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Maroof?
That be the one. He's ranked number 12. He's going to be fighting Eagle MMA. That's bound to be a joyous sight. Eagle's coming off a suspension, so probably a lot of ring rust, to be honest, I'll imagine.
Nah, nope. Eagle has been in the PrimeTime general chat for the last 4 weeks, tagging me and asking for a fight. And I've been saying, Eagle, I'm not a fucking matchmaker, and you're fucking suspended. But he's back, and I'm glad he got match made. Once again, I'm not a matchmaker. Don't, because Eagle's not the only one. Don't tag me if you want to fight. Tag Doc. Don't.
Brilliant.
I have nothing to do with that. I'm a media analyst.
It is.
I'm a media analyst. Maroof is good. I ducked Maroof a couple weeks ago on the unaired.
Do I need to suspend you, Swaggy?
Nah. I technically had a suspension because I took 2 weeks off. So fair game. Fair is fair. However, I got Kaihan this week on the unaired. So, I am getting, Doc's doing me dirty out here on the unaired. So don't worry about it. However, Eagle versus Maroof's going to be a good fight. Eagle versus Maroof's going to be a good fight.
For sure. And then after that, you have Playboy Drury versus TYR. Yeah. I
hate that name, bro.
Which one? Playboy Drew or TYR? Like, why? I'm not keen on either of their names, I'll be honest. Like, they're both a bit of a... It's not very quick. I mean, we did have George last week, which I think is likely our best one today. But, yeah, I mean, both these guys are 3-0. One's on the -1, one's on the +1. It's a bantamweight division on the prelims. There's bound for some weird and wild picks there. It's going to be a war and a half, but we'll see how that one goes. On from that, though, you have John Africa versus WR Coxey, which is bound to be an interesting showcase. John Africa is ranked number 13, and he's like the third fight on the prelims, which really is kind of mental when you think about it. He's going to be up against WR Coxey. He's on a +3 at rank number 19. The welterweight division, that's going to be bound an interesting fight. A lot of big, massive picks in the welterweight division, especially.
Listen, I just want to point out that's a WR versus WR fight, so it's bound to be fireworks. Because usually when you have a WR versus WR fight, it is a war unless Vuck's on the other end. Vuck likes to embarrass his teammates. It's crazy.
Vuck alone. You got to give him any credit where he just
Vuck got scum bucket of the week twice for embarrassing teammates.
Well, that's no who. Oh, we'll get onto that. We've got 2 more fights, and then we can talk about the scum bucket and swag bag. You just remind me, I completely forgot about them. All right, so we got AKA Josh versus Verstal. That's going to be one of the fight of the nights. That's going to be a definite fight of the night that you want to be paying attention to here on Saturday. Josh is a star-studded striker. Verstal is a man who has consistently been within that awards category. He's gotten plenty of KO of the nights and fight of the night, so I expect absolute fireworks. And finally, so this guy, I'm pretty sure, dates back all the way to UFC 3, and that's Los Got Jugo. I think he started in UFC 3, competed a bit in about the beginning to middle of UFC 4, took a break, and now has finally made a return. From what I remember in my hazy memory, he was definitely more striking based. He was definitely more looking to put on the pace on the feet more than grappling. And he's going against MV Chris, who part of that MV camp, same camp as Ginger. Chris is predominantly a striker. Same with the other people within that camp, like Pabst and Competitor. Swag.
Yeah, the NV camp, I do believe, will still be on their way up. It's just taken a little more time than everybody expected. Chris is a good competitor. I'm not familiar with Los Got Jugo's game, but I am excited to see. However, is Los Got Jugo a striker? What was he on UFC 3? Do you
striker,
know?
I believe. I think he was
so this should. this should be a good fight then, because Chris is predominantly a striker.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that was a rundown of PT119, PT120. We're hitting the hour mark, and we've also talked about Romero versus Swaggy and the absolute insanity of Swaggy having his ribs bruised. But I think the last thing on our list is Swagbag and Scumbucket.
Yeah. Swagbag. Yeah, grabbing the bucket actually did hurt.
Jesus, go rest up.
However, you say ice up after this.
I said go rest up. Oh, ice up. Do whatever you want.
However, Scumbucket of the week, I'm gonna give it to Goat.
Go,
because that was
okay.
Yeah, that was a really fast submission, Goat. You didn't have to do my boy right like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Next time make it look more competitive, please. Especially on our fan favorites. That's because nobody really cheesed on this COD though, so I had to really pick one because nobody wants the Scumbucket of the week anymore. I've noticed that people aren't really cheesing as much.
Yeah,
people aren't really being scummy.
Yeah,
people aren't being scummy. Since I've started doing the Scumbucket.
However, I have one question before we go into the Swagback. Who do you think is going to earn Scumbucket at PT120 then?
I 110% guarantee I am picking the Scumbucket out of Mozzie and K-God Pills.
I suspected you may have said that. You really, really do not like that fight. That's like the biggest fight I've ever seen you not like.
But the Swagbag could come out of that fight.
Yeah,
who knows?
True.
They could stand and bang.
They could stand and bang. Let's see if they made...
Swagbag. I'm giving Swagbag for the first time ever to somebody that actually lost their fight. I'm giving Swagbag to Frosty. Because Frosty's ice cold.
That is a fair enough call.
Frosty's ice cold. Frosty did what he had to do, and Frosty made Fatinator work. I don't think Frosty should hang his head in that defeat.
Nah.
I think Frosty should just keep moving forward, and he'll see Fat in the future.
Yeah, no, very, very certainly so. I mean, both of them looked fantastic. I mean, Frosty getting that is a fair enough opinion there. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Indeed. So, we've been going for 1 hour, 1 minute and 48 seconds and counting. That may be slightly shorter at a time because the beginning may have to be cut off. But, as I mentioned, we have talked about PT119, PT120, the upcoming card this Saturday on the 3rd of February at 8:30 GMT, 3:30 Eastern. I've been your host, the Doctor. This has been Swaggy Dr. Kush. You like what you've seen from Swaggy? He streams on Twitch and YouTube under the same name. Links will be in the description. Make sure to go check out his latest video, which will be the Romero reactions once he uploads it. But with all that being said, Swaggy, anything else I'm missing?
Yes, I'm live every day. Come check me out on Twitch. Go check out our other beautiful content creators that are a part of PrimeTime. We fucking love y'all. Thanks for watching.
Adios.